Hello and welcome to the Irish Aesthete. Today I want to begin telling you about a man who in late 19th, early 20th century Ireland was a pivotal figure in the country's cultural and indeed political evolution, although he's now relatively little remembered. That man was Edward Martyn. Described by W.B. Yeats as an unhappy, childless, unfinished man, typical of an Ireland that is passing away, poor Edward Martyn was a large lumbering fellow whose appearance belied his own spirit. He was an aesthete trapped in an unaesthetic body, and, despite what his substantial frame would suggest, a lifelong ascetic. Martyn came from a wealthy landed family based at Telara in County Galway, where the house in which he lived still stands. The greater part of the building, as we shall see, dates from the early 1880s, but this is attached to a much earlier structure, a 15th century tower house. Tulira's tower house is one of a large number erected in this part of the county by the regent's dominant family, the Anglo-Norman de Burgos, otherwise known as the Burkes, who had conquered Galway in 1236 and then spread out from there. There are many former Burke tower houses to be found in the vicinity, such as this slender example called Deer Park Castle, the upper part of which was later converted into a dovecote. Then there is Moyoid Castle, believed to have been built by MacHugh Burke in the 16th century. Like so many others, it was later superseded by another residence, but while this has since fallen into ruin, the old tower house still stands. Ultimately, the head of the Burke family, the Earl of Clanricarde, based himself in Portumna, where this fine semi-fortified house was built at the start of the 17th century. Even before that date, some of their properties had passed into other hands, which is how it came about that by the 1590s, Telara Castle and its surrounding land were owned by the Martyns. The Martyns were one of the famous tribes of Galway, the 14 mercantile families who ran the city in the later Middle Ages and made themselves very rich in the process. And, like other tribes, and indeed like many other newly rich folk across the millennia, the Martyns thought to move out of town and into the countryside where they could buy themselves a nice pile. There were many different branches of Martyns who followed this route. One of them, Robert Martyn, acquired land northwest of Galway city, where he built himself a tower house beside Ross Lake. That building suffered a serious fire in the 1770s, but the old structure was then encased in a classical house typical of the period. Little of the old building survives, but in the dining room can be seen a fine stone chimney-piece, its lintel carrying the name and arms of Robert Ross and his wife. And of course, it's from this line of the family that emerged Violet Martyn, one half of the famous Somerville and Ross writing duo. Rather than use her own name, Violet published under that of the house in which she lived. Another branch of the family produced Richard Martyn, better known as Humanity Dick. This nickname was supposedly given to him by George IV and arose because of his passionate interest in animal welfare, although he was also a champion of Catholic emancipation and the abolition of slavery. As a Member of Parliament, Humanity Dick spent many years campaigning for legislation to stop the mistreatment of animals, eventually succeeding with the Cruel Treatment of Cattle Act, otherwise known as Martyn's Act, which was passed into law in 1822. He was also a founding member of the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, set up the following year. So that, I hope, gives you some idea of the wider Martyn clan. And in the next episode, I want to look more specifically at Edward Martyn and the diverse range of activities in which he was absorbed. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for watching The Irish Aesthete. Goodbye.